It's so good to still have everyone join us on the round table. When they say the table is round, you know what it means. This is the time where journalists rub minds together, giving stories different perspective as it is on the national dailies for today. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Yes, so many things happening. Have you heard that the federal government, of course, is saying something very vital as it has to do with the 2027 election? Then you come to talk about the, should I call it, coalition elders meeting that was held in FCT. Have you heard about the outcome? Yes. So many things. Atiku made a statement there, and we'll look at it. It was in most of the papers today. I wasn't surprised to see it in those papers because I knew it was going to be there. Then one other amazing situation that we'll look at, a headline, of course, that we'll look at amongst many other headlines today is that the industrial court have instructed the FCTA workers who are protesting and striking to return back to work since the case is already in court. And of course, there are pockets of information that the FCT minister is ready for negotiation and of course, should I say sanction or something? I don't want to conclude that. Maybe my guest will talk more on that today. Then many more still happening from around the country. I will bring you as much that time will allow us to take on journalists roundtable today. I'm not alone on this program. You know how we do it. We always have journalists who are very analytical, objective, and very fair in their conversation as it has to do with perspective to headlines. We even have a managing editor of the Time Nigeria magazine with us right here in the person of Abdurrahman. It's good to have you join us on the program.
Oh, nice having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, viewers too.
Abdurrahman Aliagan. We've not seen you for a while, and I was saying, well, on return. I know you're returning with fire. How was your break? I'm seeing you the first time since this year.
We thank God. It's been a pleasure.
That's good. I think I love that. Welcome to Journalist Roundtable.
Thank you very much.
And to my left here is a journalist and, of course, a political analyst, and he is an OAP. We all know him already. Ubong Usoro. It's good to have you join us on the program, Ubong Usoro, this very beautiful evening.
It's always a pleasure to come on your program. Thank you, Ramsey.
Yeah, how has the political scene been? That's one area you cover and you love so much.
The activities are still picking up gradually, not in full force. As to the election year, election will be in in 1 year. In 1 year time, 12 months, because February may be a 2027 general election. So it's going to be a year of political intrigues, alignment. We are seeing that already, and realignment. So,
all right. Well, the polity is getting hot by the day. Let's begin with the first conversation right here on Journalist Roundtable. What are we getting started with? I'm so aware. I'm aware that the federal government and northern leaders and lawmakers differ on amnesty for terrorists. You know, this is something that have been a subject of debate for a very long time. Some person said, why would you negotiate with terrorists? Some person said, well, for peace to reign. After all, some persons were granted amnesty in this country. What's different? And a lot of school of thought, but right here on Journalist Roundtable, we will be looking at it. Federal government, northern leaders, lawyers inclusive, these are custodians of the law, differs on amnesty for terrorists. So that's their own differences. Let me get the differences from my guest in the studio. So, Abdurrahman, what do you think about granting amnesty to terrorists in Nigeria?
Yeah, if we recall, we discovered that the issue of insecurity has been lingering for a very long time. And it is at a point appears that that the system, particularly the government, is not in control, because at a point when you heard that there was a kidnapping in the north, before now we believe it was targeted at the at northeast, but from the way the things is going now, it has captured almost the whole of the country, in the south, in the west, in the east, and in the north. There is no place that we can say that is relatively peaceful. And if this is continuing in this way and unabated, bringing the issue of amnesty, honestly, even if we look at it from global perspective, it's not totally out of place. Government negotiate with criminals for the purpose of peace to reign, because we all know that in a chaotic situation, there can never be growth, there can never be development. So in the light of that, if actually bringing these people to the round table can actually put a stop to this situation, yeah, it will be welcome. If we equally look at during this President Yar'Adua, when there was this pipeline bombing in the south, what happened? The President Yar'Adua constituted a committee headed by the former Chief of Staff to late President Muhammadu Buhari, that is Professor Ibrahim Gambari. He was the chairman of that amnesty program in the south. And the moment they look at what are lacking or what is bringing issues in that region, and they proffer the amnesty solution to that problem. And the moment that was given, the tension was calmed down. It cushioned the effect
what happened at the South compared to what is happening right now?
Yes,
terrorism and agitation. Don't you think there are differences?
There are differences.
So what are the terrorists agitating for, and what were the people at the South agitating for, so that we can strike a balance?
Yes, we know that the South people were agitating for resource control as at that time, but the resource control was not given, that issue was not addressed. The multiplier effect was pipeline bombing, and it grossly affected economy of the country, and it equally brought crisis situation in that region. But to arrest it, when there is a problem, we begin to look at solution. And one of the solutions that actually worked for that situation at that particular point in time was amnesty. And the moment amnesty was given, the issue came to an end. Yeah, the insurgency, kidnapping, and all sorts of crises that are rocking Nigeria now. If we look at it critically, what are the factors that led to all this problem? We cannot rule out the issue of poverty. We cannot rule out the issue of economic sabotage. We cannot rule out the issue of ethnic jingoism or religion extremism. So all these are issues that have been identified. You can even see that some of these terrorists, they were even calling for negotiation themselves. So if that can stop it, let's call them to a round table and discuss it, if it can actually stop it. But negotiation, in the whole terms of it, it cannot actually put to permanent end to this matter. But it will give a space of time to address some of these issues, particularly the issue of poverty. You cannot actually rule it out in what we are experiencing in the north. A place where people are not going to school, some children, they grew up.
I thought I don't know, but according to research, it's been said that Boko Haram, it means Western education is a crime, and that's what resulted to Boko Haram terrorism.
Yes.
So is that the concern? Is that what should be negotiated? Or you feel the issue of poverty is national? And some people will say, well, it's not just to a particular people. If you want to attribute the issue of kidnapping and abduction, I can say, all right, maybe that could be as a result of the poverty. But what about terrorism? We're talking about terrorists here.
Terrorism, if you look at terrorists, as for example now, a banker who is fully engaged, you know, is earning a good salary and is looking towards a brighter future, cannot be thinking of terrorizing people. And if you look at these people that are terrorizing people, one, are they gainfully employed? The answer is no. Do they have this education that can actually even give them the needed or the deserved job? The answer is no.
They said it's a crime.
They say it's a crime. Okay, even if education is a crime, what skills do they learn? The answer is no. And you don't have education that can actually get you a good job. No skill, that can get you a good job. No good skill that can actually, where you can in your living. So, and you must feed, you must clothe yourself, you must give yourself shelter. And where you don't have all this, then the next thing is resulting to crimes and criminality. So that is why we are saying, yes, this issue, and if we look at it equally, you discover that it is not even that the Boko Haram, as they said, education is crime. Some of them, they are making use of what education has provided. Like GSM, they are on internet. Even if they are not writing in English, some of them write in French, some of them write in Arabic. If they did not go through one education or the other, how would they have been communicating their grievances to the people? Right. So what I'm saying in essence is that, yeah, we can actually look at the problems, profile a possible solution to address. If amnesty is going to be the solution to this problem, let us just give it and move forward. So that is just my point, because it is practicable even globally.
All right, it is practicable even globally. Now, Usoro, as it is right now, he is saying, well, the way the situation is right now, it was done somewhere and it worked. So there is nothing wrong if it is still being done in this situation. But then, I'm still going to ask you a different question, but then would you want to react to federal government and northern leaders, including lawyers, differing on amnesty for terrorists in Nigeria?
Right, I think that for me, we've seen that many countries that have fought terrorism, especially for after 5 years, end up at a long time, having to negotiate on some sort. We saw that with FARC in Colombia, right? FARC tormented the country for so long, and after more than 25 years after fighting as a guerrilla set and all of that, the Colombian government had to negotiate with them, and they reformed into a political party, although they still have some splinter cells here and there. We've also seen that with even the Taliban, like we have in Afghanistan. The U.S. government went there, fought after, September 11. It went there, fought, and after a while, the Taliban still persevered, and the U.S. had to go into some sort of deal and withdraw their troops from Afghanistan. So world over, we can see that people negotiate. But the problem I have, because we've even done that template before with the Niger Delta militants, and Some person will say it came out as a success because the spate of kidnapping, the spate of especially kidnapping of expatriates and bombing of all oil pipelines were addressed. But the fundamental problem I think I have with this issue is that, one, I don't think there's a concrete agitation of those who are members of the Boko Haram sets. I do not think they have a concrete agitation, right? I think that it is more of a global spate of terrorism that has found its foot because we failed to do what we would have done on time. So we allowed our ground to be a fertile ground for terrorism, because if you look, for me, the Nigerian terrorism is not an independent case. It's a global phenomenon that started maybe whatever, but we saw in 2001 it was very prominent in places like Pakistan, in places like Afghanistan, and as the US and other world forces were driving those terrorists out of those places, they were now looking for safer regions and safer places that those ideas can fertilize and materialize, and we allowed them the space. And they came into our country and fertilized those ideas of terrorism in our country. If you remember in the 70s, in the 80s, I traveled a lot to the north those days. You could virtually, get into you get on your journey and it is night and you get into anybody's house and sleep. You don't need to know the person. And nobody asks you where you come from. Right? We had tribal, religious, differences, which even in families we have differences. Even if you are born of the same father and you have 5 children, people will still agitate for their own family. This is the same with the same family name. So nothing about Nigeria is quite very different from what happens world over. But I think sometimes we overflock our issues, and it seems as if our issues are so big we can't live together. But these are people that we've been living together for quite a while. We've lived together for as long as we knew ourselves, right? We've lived together. So where do we now say we cannot work together? So, but for me, so that I don't deviate from what I'm saying, I think that, one, the Nigerian government must take up the responsibility of blame, because we allowed this thing to fester. How did we allow it? We did the education that would have permitted as much as we didn't do. Look at the North now. I was just checking a report. How many millions? Some say 23 million. Not 23. Some say 3 million. Some say between 5 to 10 million out of school children in the North. What were we doing about those children? Because those are the children that were out of school in 1997. They are the ones causing us problems today. If we had given them the right education, people will not come to tell them education is poor, because at the first place, they never, at the first place, they never really had the education. So I'm not making case for them, but I'm saying that I think that the ideology behind Boko Haram, is skewed in the Nigerian sense, because what we have is religious, but you also have to look at it, Ramsey. There are many circles to this. There's an economic aspect of terrorism that people profiting from it. There's a political aspect of terrorism that people want to seize control of an area. And you see that in Borno State, there was a time of over 12 local governments. The Boko Haram raised their flag. What was that? That's political. Because if it was just about ideology, they would do ideology and they will not care about leadership. But this political, they want to take control. There are places that we've heard that our farmers have to pay taxes to get into to go do their farming and come back. So we have to be able to look at all of this. What is the political ideology? What is the economic aspect? What is the social dimension? So when we are able to integrate all of this, we now understand that maybe a kinetic approach alone will not work. Maybe we need a non-kinetic approach, and it's done worldwide. It's done everywhere in the world. But we must be able to establish clear standards. So if we are saying those that want to surrender, because truly there are those that want to surrender, there are people that were forced into this Boko Haram. It was never in their will. There are people that maybe it was even in their will. They've gone there and they've now realized that this thing does not pay. So there are different scenarios, but the Nigerian government must be able to state clearly, you must lay arms, you must come for rehabilitation, you must be able to share information that will lead the Nigerian government into. So we have a timeline that if you don't surrender between this time and this time, whatever you see, you take.
Oh, all right. Let's just leave it at that, and so that we can move to the next discussion. But then I think to an extent, education in the North is free, for these children to go to. Then you look at their cutoff mark, even to get to the university and all of that. I think considerably their cutoff mark is lower than some other states in Nigeria. But then all the same, I think the leaders and of course have a big role to play. Now 2027 is around the corner. APC leaders receive Mufwang, offer him automatic ticket. That is something for me, because we could remember Matawale saying, well, defecting into APC is not a guarantee that a particular governor is going to return. And of course, there have been this message that, we are not promising anybody anything, we're not giving anyone anything. The people just felt the party is moving and they decided to defect on their own. But what does this statement mean right now? APC leaders, 2027 is the key care. APC leaders receive Mufwang, offer him automatic ticket. What do you think about this?
I think...
does it mean all of the governors were being offered something, or Mufwang have a different case altogether?
I think, first of all, I think it's sad that Governor Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State is in the PDP. My colleague was just telling me about when he had his fundraising dinner here in Abuja. One of our colleagues here covered that dinner where people raised funds for him to run on the platform of the PDP. And I covered the PDP, so he's a governor I see very often during preparations for the November 15 whatever conference in Ibadan, Oyo State. We could see he was the head of one of the subcommittees for that particular convention. It's not up to 3 months ago, but today he's in APC. So you can see the character of our politicians, and this is leadership. If you don't lead, it's just like having a family. You tell your children come back to the house by 8, but you as a father, you are never home till 1. A day will come, the children will ask you, what are you doing? So it speaks generally to the character of our Nigerian leaders, that you are in PDP, you are leading a subcommittee that led to a convention, and you are part of that convention, and just after 2 months, you have left the party on what basis? Why should we trust a decision? But that said, that's his personal, already we've established that Nigeria's political party are political vehicles. So anybody can join and highlight and take another vehicle.
Depends on your destination.
It depends on the speed that you want to go to your destination. If your location is far, and you may need to. So whatever they do, but it's sad. I think that when it comes to governors getting automatic tickets, it has to also do with the kind of governor and the kind of politics in the states. I could understand that when the APC chairman was saying some governors nobody's promising. We've seen that happen in the APC before. There was a certain governor called Governor Ambode in Lagos. He was a governor of the APC. He never got a return ticket. The president was the national leader of the party at the time, and he told him, let's go to the field. But they never got a return ticket. So it's not the first time that there will be a governor in APC and may not get a return ticket. If you are not able to play your ticket, your politics well, if you are not able to get the stakeholders to speak on your behalf, and then no ticket for you. So that is a political, you need to be able to balance the politics. So as a governor, you know that. I think he was saying that because there's some states, for instance, like Rivers State, the APC may not really want to get so much involved as to saying we must give the governor a direct ticket, because they know he may tilt after them. Already you've seen the national vice chairman of the party, Gedon, who has said, you spoke, and you know that he's not in support of the governor. You even seen Tony Okocha, the APC chairman of River State, going with FCT minister and yes, on weekend everywhere, and it may not, be favorable to the governor. So the chairman may, in that point, try to play the politics and not side anybody and say, okay, because the FCT minister may be going to the APC any moment from now, or may not be going. It depends on what he decides to do. So just play safe. But if you are a governor that is formidable in your state, there is nothing under the sun that will deny any party from giving you the party the tickets. In fact, the whatever they call it, what is it called, where they go, the primaries will just be a formality if you are a formidable governor. But if you are not a formidable
meaning
governor,
you have the ticket already, so
if you are not a formidable governor, we will see challengers will come, people will come. For instance, I can bet you, Ramsey, that nobody will contest the 2027 APC tickets with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nobody in the APC. And you can take that word to the bank. Nobody. Because it's formidable. There's nobody in the APC that will buy that form. If you are buying it, it's waste of money now. If we can argue about Tinubu not winning 2027 general election, but we cannot argue about Tinubu not winning APC primaries. Does that argument even stand?
All right, let me get to managing editor at this time. With the whole of this situation, does it mean every other governor that has moved from their various parties to the All Progressive Congress APC, we have been promised something, going by this statement?
Before the defection, there will be what we call a offer and acceptance.
For every defection or this defection?
That is to what they call it now is negotiation.
Not defection anymore.
Negotiation. Because our political, we don't have what we can call a political system. It's not working. The political, maybe a principle of politics is not there. Like United States of America now will be looking at a Republican and a Democrat. They have principle. They have ideology. No matter what, they stick to the principle of the party. But it's another thing in when it comes to Nigeria. And most of these governors that are defecting from here to their party to APC, most of them, they are running for second term in office. And they cherish to win that second term like anything. So, and the opposition party, which is PDP, unfortunately, it has, they have sent PDP packing. PDP, in fact, we hear more of ADC as an opposition party than PDP, despite that they have up to like 4 states in the scheme of things. But the issue of automatic ticket, so because how we say what is good for goose should also be good for gander. So by not making it to cut across, it may not speak well of the party. The moment a governor carry all his political arsenals to your party, and that was even what at a point was promised. Look at the issue of the Wike and Fubara in River State. The moment Fubara defected to APC, what happens? They offered him automatic number one APC person in the state. And if you are a number one APC person in the state and you are running for second term, I don't know what joker that you will not get the ticket back, unless if another thing is happening at the national level. Even if anything is happening at the national level, before he defected, some leaders of APC had gone to meet Fubara, particularly those that are not in the same on the same page with the Minister of FCT. And the permutation was done, and the governor defected. And if you look at the countenances of FCT minister at that time, you will discover that it was not going down well with him.
Meaning he wasn't in support of Fubara going to APC?
At all. All his calculation was to impeach Fubara, and they already set the ball rolling for the impeachment. It was, politics. That's why I said it's a calculation. So the moment the Fubara sees that coming, and some other leaders in APC are interested in Rivers because of because of its richness in terms of what goes from the federal allocation and their internally generated revenue. Rivers State is very strong when it comes to, prosecuting elections.
So in other words, you're trying to say with Fubara now in APC, he's going to be coming in as an... Is that what you mean?
That is the point.
But let me remind you, because Atiku, Obi, Aregbesola said something in their stakeholders meeting that they had, and of course, what they said is that 2027 polls won't be decided by incumbency.
You see, as an opposition party, they can say anything, but between you are a journalist. From your experience in covering politics in Nigeria, it is always said that you must have INEC, the federal might, and security. Now, if ADC leader are saying that incumbency won't decide the forthcoming general election, so they are actors on the field. Let us see the miracle that they are going to perform. As we speak, the ADC has no governor. As we speak, they are not occupying any local government as chairman. So the issue of incumbency, what do we mean by incumbency? Is resources. That is the factor, because incumbency, they possess the resources, they possess the power, which is security, and Mr. President appointed the INEC chairman. We have not come to that point where, one, INEC, we say Independent National Electoral Commission, is our INEC. In the real sense of it, is it independent?
Oh, all right, hold it there. Let me ask, is INEC independent? That is the question he's asking from your own point of view. Then we're linking this with what you were in that meeting, of course, the ADC or Coalition Elders stakeholders meeting that was held in FCT. I think we have a video to that effect, even where Aregbesola, Atiku, Peter Obi, even David Mark too, all of them were of the opinion that 2027 poll wouldn't be decided by incumbency. And there was a statement that was made by ADC before now that it is not all about jumping into APC, that doesn't guarantee any of the governors returning. And now we heard this. So what do you think? Is all the ball in the hands of INEC right now, which managing editor Abdul Rahman said are not independent in the real sense?
All right, so I'll talk about INEC, but let me start with ADC. ADC is an opposition party, and what do you expect from opposition? Opposition has to sound maybe even tougher than they are, so that people will look at them. But in the real sense of it, when it matters, we will know those who stand at the end of the day. People in English will say, when push comes to shove, we will know those who are still standing, right? The ADC that is saying governors moving to APC does not matter. If they have one governor today, they will do press release, they will host special events, because they know the power of the Nigerian government. Nigerian governors are sub-lords. They are emperors in a way. They control resources with absolutely little or no supervision, with little or no scrutiny. I even dare say that the president of Nigeria has more scrutiny than governors. Who scrutinizes governor? Everybody focuses. You go to places like Adamawa and somebody cannot buy a plate of food. The next person the person is going to lay curses on is the president of the country. A lot of people forget about their governors. So governors are left unchecked. governors are left unfettered, and governors are given resources, especially now. I was telling you the other time, just do an assessment and check what is the FAC allocation that goes to your governor and what is the IGR that goes to your governor. And you can imagine, in the last 8 months, governors are getting over 200% or some 150% of whatever resources they used to get 2-3 years ago, right? With the removal of subsidy, a lot of monies are going. So these are access. We could hear Fubara talk about 600 billion in River State coffers that are waiting, and he can just make a transfer, and those are monies that win election. We know when it comes to that vote. 2027 general election, we know that some political parties are already planning to buy votes. We know these things, let's not lie. And some may be buying these votes as high as 20,000. So just do some little calculation. If you have 1 million people voting and you buy votes for 20,000, how much is that? That runs into billions of naira. How many private politicians that are not in government can remove those monies? They cannot. They cannot. So, but governors can. Look at what happened with the security funds during Goodluck Jonathan. That was laundered into election with the former NSA. Those were funds meant for procurement of arms, but they were put into election. So, and even some media houses, were part of that very dirty squabbles. So that is what it talks about government. So governors, I was there. Arebeshola talked about President Tinubu losing his ward, losing his local government, losing his entire district, and losing his state. The 2027 general election will be different from the 2023 general elections. Right. So if he had lost all of those things when he was not in power, is it now when he's in power that he's going to lose all of those things? Let's be realistic for once. Right. But we're talking about INEC. I think that elections are compromised in our country. We could see a more compromise, mainly governorship and presidency. I think that largely we see some high level of fairness when it comes to House of Representatives and senatorship, because, for instance, there were many places that you saw Odious Okalu won as one in senatorial seats, but for presidency, Tinubu, APC was not able to win. So we see those kind of things come a lot, and we still see some level of fairness in our election, because president from Lagos also lost Lagos. So I think that our INEC has been improving. Right, I think there's been a lot of improvement, but we are not there yet. There's still a lot. Some is not. I've worked as RATEC for some elections. At least from 2011, I've been around for elections duty, and you know that sometimes it's not even from the INEC people themselves. Sometimes security agents aid in rigging elections. Sometimes even coalition officers are ad hoc staff, Nigerians like you and me. Because INEC do not have all the personnel to input into election. They still fall back to Nigerians. And you see, the other person that was convicted from my state, a professor and all of that, is a lecturer in the Nigerian university. Lecturers are supposed to be at the highest level of moral decency. But so it's a part of the Nigerian system. So sometimes when we single out INEC and say INEC is corrupt, I ask myself, are Nigerians better off INEC? Who are those working in INEC? They are Nigerians. So we need to look at ourselves.
All right. We'll go on a quick break, everyone. After this break, when we return, we'll look at more reactions coming from ADC. And don't forget that we will also take you back to Rivers State, where there are some form of allegation against Fubara, who is now an APC governor. And we can't end this show without talking about the industrial court order to FCTA workers. After this break, the roundtable continues. Atiku slam APC government as worst in 40 years. That is coming, that it's only ADC that will be able to rescue Nigeria. You have the same school of thought. But you already said, well, ADC is nowhere to be found. So you just want 2 sentences. What do you make of that statement?
It's coming from an opposition
So party. It's not a true statement?
No, it's not that it's not a true statement. There are elements of truth, but we cannot conclusively say that in the last 40 years. Because one, if you look at the inflation, is still we are still grappling with it. If you look at insecurity, is still there. Our economy is not yet bounced up. So, but we cannot just say that a government, APC government has. The condition is worst
compared to other administrations in the last 40 years.
No, there are some things that they have gotten right, particularly the issue of food now, at least to some reasonable extent. If you look at the price or prices of food in the market, at least it has come down, even drastically, because I could remember I had ever bought beans for about 3,400 sometimes ago, but now beans is around 700, 800 to 1,000 naira, which has dropped drastically. So yeah, let us give it to them in that area. But there are some other areas that it is not yet huru, like in the area of insecurity now, area of employment. So all this area, power supply. I don't think that in the history of Nigeria, we've heard that the national grid had collapsed more than 10 times with this administration. So these are the
even
critical
in January,
areas.
It happened twice already.
So in this all this critical area, if Atiku is saying that, yeah, he may be saying something reasonable, but in the last 40 years, not everybody will agree with that kind of a statement. Like I said, that statement is coming from opposition party. Even if the government is getting it right, the responsibility, the work of opposition party is to still look at policy and programs of the ruling government and look for a fault and slam it. So it's not unexpected.
All right. Invariably, he has said, well, it's coming from an opposition, so you don't expect anything less. Can we move to Fubara a little bit? River State, because we just talked about Mufwang a few minutes ago. Of course, the fashion still happening. Already he's an APC member. But do you remember there was a by-election that happened in River State? And they said, according to what happened there, his own candidates lose out, while the FCT minister's candidates won. Then there was pocket of should I say, allegations that Fubara supported ADC candidates. And of course, Fubara is now refuting the allegation. So what do you think about Fubara's stand in APC right now as regards this by-election? What message is he passing across? He has, according to Abdurrahman here, he said, well, as an APC governor in Rivers State, nothing probably can stop his return.
No, that was not what he said. I don't think that was what he said.
No, he said as a governor, as a sitting governor of, he can win 2027.
That is what the ticket.
The ticket. He can get the ticket in 2027.
Let's not go into argument, but I also showed the sitting governor that was not able to get the ticket, still in the APC. And I mentioned Ambode. He was a governor.
But you know what happened? What transpired between him and the president?
Right.
The now president.
So we have somebody who is almost like the president.
Having an issue with Fubara.
Well, I think that Fubara and his politics, I do not see Fubara to be a very good politician. I don't think so, because the two persons that got the tickets, one for Kana to local government, and I think Okana local government for the by-elections, are supporters of the FCT minister. Fubara is not the only. It also the FCT, the APC is not a foothold of Fubara yet. It is, you could talk about it at even at the national, it is not yet he is not his full. You know, there's this carriage of governors. Where, as a governor, you carry some level of support. Look at Abdullah Iganduje. When he had issues with Kwankwaso, you could see that he owned the party at that time. As a governor, Kwankwaso had to move to the PDP. He brought some level of ownership as a governor. I've not seen that with Fubara, because the House of Representative members are not in this camp, and they are prominent stakeholders. Do you know our election?
Even though they are still in APC.
A governor cannot be everywhere. You need stakeholders, and I've not really seen prominent stakeholders that are solid in the grassroots. Remember that before he came back, they did a chairmanship election that was conducted by Iboke Teibas, and the reports that we have are that all of those chairmen are people that are loyal to the FCT minister. These are the people that will go to the grassroots. And the report that we're even having 2 days ago is that the two persons that have gotten the APC ticket to run in Rivers State for these two by-elections are still loyalists to the FCT minister. Remember that 26 of the House of Rep, remember that's still loyal. So I think that he will have some challenge. He may get the ticket at the end of the day, but it will not be as other governors who just have a stroll in the bank like Muflang, who has moved with everybody. Fubara, you know, these guys moved to the party. Yes, they are in the same party, but they are not sharing the same thoughts. So I think it may be a little difficult, but let me stay with the issue of him supporting. This is not the first time in Rivers that we're going to see a governor who may be supporting other parties. We had a time where Governor Nyesom Wike was supporting members of the APM. I don't know if you still remember that scenario. He sponsored candidates in APM. We are even hearing stories that Wike may also have some candidates in SDP. So you can see the politics. When Wike came out and say in Rivers State now what we are doing is Rainbow Coalition, you saw him going for those whatever rounds he was doing. You saw both the APC chairman and the PDP chairman were with him. You saw it. Tony Okocha, PDP APC chairman was with him. Both of them. And we are now hearing that the FCT minister is even also having loyalists in SDP. So I wonder the kind of politics similar Fubara has, with due respect to him. So for me, I think it does not make any meaning, because I don't even see ADC candidates winning elections in Rivers State as at this time. You know, APC, PDP. But it could be or it could also be a new venture. Let him own a party. Let him have that governorship presence. Look at the governor of Osun State now. He has moved from the PDP because of the crisis to Accord Party. You know that he's the leader of the party. Let him lead the party from the front as a governor. So if it means that APC is not giving him enough respect as due him as a governor, let him move and form a party and exercise that powers that come with a governor.
All right, with him now being in APC, do you think the APC leaders will hands off him and allow the FCT minister to do whatever he feels?
The dynamics, the political dynamics, different from region or one place to another. What even brought Fubara to APC is the workings of some leaders in APC, and they did that negotiation or calculation, and because if it were to be left with Fubara would have continued the struggle under PDP. But some people, some big shots in APC that were looking at the Wike is becoming over, he wanted to be lording himself over the APC. And they use that to challenge that too much power. They approached him, Fubara, and they brought him into the party. And remember, when the Wike started mounting that anybody can be number one, what the party said, the National Secretary of APC came out with a very strong and worded letter that that is the policy of the party. And that is how it's going to be. Today, the Fubara is number one in APC. You are saying, my colleague, you were saying that he did not own the party. You cannot compare what happened in Kano to what is happening in Rivers State, you will recall that both Fubara, the present Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, they are all Wike's boys, and Wike has at least he has that thing, domineering tendencies. He has dominated the political affairs or landscape in Rivers State. He's cutting the short. Yeah, then look at the issue of the emergency rule in Rivers State that Mr. President waded him to invoke the constitutional order to declare state of emergency in Rivers State. With that, you cannot expect Fubara to come out from that shock. He was not in the office when the election was conducted. What do you expect him to do? Practically, he couldn't have done anything. But look, the way the Fubara was going, if the president did not waded in as at that time, the Rivers State maybe would have exploded by now, because he was not ready to give down. And the Mr. Minister here too is still waging his power on the political atmosphere, particularly the Rivers State House of Assembly. As at that time, the emergency rule has already taken Fubara out of office. Even if he has what type of resources would he have used to prosecute that election? So what I'm trying to say is that, see, if you don't have power, you can't use it.
What I'm trying to say also is that for me, I feel prior to all of this happening, as a governor, he wasn't playing his politics right. Because you cannot tell me, you cannot say that 26 members of your House of Representatives, you cannot convince them based on conviction, you cannot convince them based on resources, you cannot convince them based on whatever. No, now as a governor, you should be able to speak to them, and also, so that is and these are the people that are in the APC, and whether you like it or not, those House of Assembly members are stakeholders in the APC Rivers State. They are not just stakeholders, they are serious stakeholders. Those chairmen are serious stakeholders, and their decision will be needed. So if they, at the end of the day, all of the stakeholders, let's assuming without considering that all of the stakeholders side with Nyesom Wike, it will also be difficult for the party in the national. The APC may end up not even having a candidate. And we've seen this before. APC didn't have a candidate at the time. So I think that he also needs to play the politics better.
All right, our time is fast spent. Let's get to FCTA right now, where Industrial Court already orders FCTA workers to suspend strike action. As a matter of fact, right now, the strike has been suspended, but there are pockets of information that the FCT minister is ready for negotiation. NLC, who supported the protest, is now saying, according to Ajero, that what the court is saying is not all right. He feels he's not okay with the court order. So what do you think? Just
when the matter is in the court already, and they still went ahead for the strike. Yeah. So it's a court content. It's a content of the court. So if we believe in courts and we have taken our case to the court, maybe the court of industrial court. So they should have be patient for the outcome of the court process, because when you take a matter to court and you still go ahead on industrial action, so it is counterproductive. Absolutely. It is not giving respect to the constituted authority, particularly the industrial court.
Right.
So I want to believe stopping them from going to it is normal thing to do.
All right.
I also,
we are rounding up.
I know.
All right.
I also align with that position. When you submit yourself, to the court, let us learn to respect our institutions. I think what we've seen in Nigeria is that when it favors us, we say, the court gave us victory. But when it goes against us, everybody vilifies the court. And we cannot continue like these are institutions that make us. If we continue to look down our institutions, we are hurting the very fabrics of our nation. Mm-hmm. So the courts have said it, and I stand by what the courts have said.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Well, this is going to be the size of the conversation right here on Journalist Hangout. Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman Aliagan.
Thanks for having me.
Managing editor.
It's a pleasure being here today.
Thanks for coming. Thank you very much, great journalist, OAP and a political analyst, Ubong Usoro, for joining us on Journalist Hangouts.
Thank you very much.
Journalist Roundtable, I beg your pardon. All right, this is the size of Journalist Roundtable today. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.